Here's our viewpoints of Dabba Walla Mumbai Food Express.
Welcome to Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Hannah.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Sarah. Today we are talking about our viewpoints of Dabba Walla Mumbai Food Express from Queen Games.
And they sent us this copy to review.
Dabba Walla is a tile-laying, hand management game for 2 to 4 players that takes about 40 minutes to play. The game is played in 2 phases, the pick-up phase where you gain cards and tiles, and the delivery phase where you influence the tip values of the tiles and score points. On your turn in the pickup phase, you move your character to a spot on the main board to pick up a card. Then you play a card from your hand, claim the matching tile, and place it on your board, eventually stacking multiple levels of tiles. After a certain number of rounds, you transition to the delivery phase. Players simultaneously play a card from their hand to influence the prices of the different colored tiles. The highest level of tiles is scored according to those prices. You repeat the process until each level has been scored. The player with the most points wins.
We're going to divide today's video into 4 different categories: components, likes, dislikes, and then complexity / comparisons. And then some final thoughts.
So 5 categories.
There you go. Well, why don't we start with the components?
So Kevin, I think you had some strong feelings about
Strong
this.
feelings. Are we ready for my strong feelings already?
Yeah, go for it, because I'll balance it out.
Okay, thanks, Hannah. So for component-wise, the one thing that I have strong feelings are the insert. The insert is all cardboard, and you have to put it together yourself. The cardboard is okay thickness, but just the way you're putting it together, I felt like I was bending the cardboard and pushing it, and it didn't feel like it was going together as well as I've done other cardboard inserts or cardboard things that I put together, and I just felt it wasn't as well put together, not because of user error, just because of the material,
the thickness of the cardboard.
thickness, and this lining up the slots and stuff like that, and then they were like bending, and you could just pinching, and it just didn't look good to me. So
I thought it was an interesting way to use pieces and components that we all use in the game, like we're using the board. I thought it was an interesting way to not add more weight and cardboard to the box.
Right, because the pieces of the board, it's kind of like a puzzle piece, and they can slot into the insert, so it creates its own lid, but it's not a separate piece, it's actually something you're using for the game.
And that just blesses my poor little organizational heart. The fact that everything fits together, like everything about my soul is just sighs with happiness that everything is there in its place. It goes back in its place in the cleanup phase as you're doing it, and then you make everyone do it with you. It's fantastic that there is an organizational component to it.
yeah, I do like that part with how Hannah was saying that you're like cleaning as you're finishing the game, and you're putting it all back.
Yeah, as
in.
you're scoring each level, you can put the tiles in their spots
you have
as
to
you
take
score.
them off to reveal what's underneath to score the next level. So you just auto put away the game.
It's
just nice.
fantastic.
And even during the game, having them in their trays is helpful. You're like, oh, I need the number 2. You're like, you don't. It's already there, which is nice. So I think for setup, it's a little bit easier that way, and then putting things back.
Yeah, so once it's already put together, it can be the ease of storage and cleanup.
I think I just like, if they were just all plastic trays, like we have in a lot of other games, and it would just been vacuum formed, and it could have been like with covers.
Although they do, in the game, talk about how it's made with renewable and recyclable resources, and that it has very little plastic is one of their selling points.
I appreciate that. I'm not going to throw the plastic away. I'm going to use the plastic. It's usable.
So another thing about the components, I mean, I guess it sort of fits in this category, is that there are multiple versions of the player boards, and they have different arrangements of your spaces that you're putting your tiles onto.
Oh, for the carts?
Yes, so there's 4 different carts, and they have different sizes and shapes, so that adds some variability to the game.
But everyone's playing with the same size.
Correct. Yes, everyone in the same game is playing with the same size.
Are we ready to move to likes?
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Who wants to go first? I went first with the first one. Who would like to go first with likes?
I enjoyed the rondel, the choices of where to move your piece to gain whichever tile. And you can spend what are the
tickets, I think.
Yeah, the little tickets to move further than you're supposed to, or skip a space. That does give a benefit to somebody else, but a lot of times it's worth it. One thing I didn't think of the first time I played was paying attention to everybody else.
Yes.
I think that's actually a key strategy in the game because you're going to score all the levels together and influence the tips. So the first time I played, I didn't pay attention to everybody else, and getting a lot of one color on one level is also a good thing, which I didn't know that would be a thing to do.
Yeah, it's nice to get a lot of one color on one level as long as other people also have that
Yes.
color. Because if no one else has that color, then no one's going to help raise the price, and they might even try to sabotage you.
Well, that's what I liked about, because I love tile laying games. The fact that I had this complexity, which we'll talk about in more detail. I had to think about the tile placement, but I also had to think about which pieces I wanted because I needed to make sure they were going to make the color that I was currently putting down go up later. And I also had to pay attention to everybody else. That complexity in a tile laying game is not as common as some of the other games. And it was really fun to have something really thinky in this tile laying game where I was just building up my cart. You can just pay attention to yourself, but you'll do better if you do all of it at the same time.
But I like that the rules are really easy and you're just getting
Yeah.
a card and you're
Yes.
laying a tile and it doesn't really matter unless you're really worried about your score.
Yeah.
If you're playing really casually
Yeah.
and enjoying your time, then it's not as big
And
a
I
deal.
liked that. You could play it super serious, or you could just have fun and build up your little columns and make all your shapes fit and see how it turned out. I liked that it was simple yet complex.
So I liked that the cards are multi-use. Hannah sort of talked about that, where in the pickup phase you're concerned about the tile it's giving you, but then it has something at the bottom that's going to influence what happens during the delivery phase. So you're using the same cards to then influence the prices in the second phase. So thinking about that as you're drafting your cards and moving around the city, I liked that.
I enjoyed the tile laying part. I liked the Tetris. I enjoyed that part of the game. The decision making, I think, just taking another step with the decision making on the dual cards. Another step further is the lower or the tinier tile or the one tiles have better powers.
Oh, and the big tiles.
And the big tiles have either 0 or maybe moving one. So it's I like that part of the decision making on, okay, do I want this perfect tile that fits? It was but it's not giving me a good reward, or it's not the right color.
Yeah.
So I really like
There's
that
also
part.
the T.
Yeah, the try.
The
The
chai
chai.
is available if you can
trying
match.
to connect.
Yeah, if you can match up those little spaces, you'll get another little bonus.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anything else with
that-
likes, which actually moves into one of my dislikes.
Dislikes.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Okay.
let's move into
Kevin
it.
doesn't like chai tea.
I like the chai tea. I actually don't like the negatives. So I actually feel like in this fun game that I'm having, I'm hurting another player that is, wants to do well, and then you just feel it on their face. My whole point of this was to get do well on this level,
Yeah.
and then you're basically throwing negatives at them. That's my dislike.
Yeah, so the chai tiles have either actions that you can do during the first phase, or they may give you extra influence, positive or negative, during the delivery phase. I would kind of say, in one aspect, I kind of like what am I going to get? But there are some that I was like, oh, this is really great. And then others that were kind of disappointing to get.
Yeah.
They are worth 2 points at the end of the game if you don't use them, though. So there is, I guess, a little bit of I could just save them for 2 points. But so I guess a minor dislike is they're not all created equal.
The chai, yeah. Some chai's better than others.
I will say I disliked the part of the tower level building I disliked was there were so many times I knocked pieces and I had to keep Jenga-ing, making sure they were together.
together.
And then I would forget once I hit about level 4 what was underneath, and then you have to try to remember, all right, which cards do I want to use what? Can I look at the side and I can kind of tell what colors are there? Maybe hopefully I remember what's in the middle or on the other side.
You want a 3D card.
I would like, it would have been nice if I could have remembered better, I guess, but that building was definitely something that frustrated me slightly.
It could be interesting if the sides were painted the right color, but then I wonder, do they want there to be some ambiguity of people not remembering, or do they want it to be perfect information?
To be fair, then I couldn't remember, other people couldn't remember my tower either, even though I was doing it, but it definitely frustrated me slightly when we were playing.
My one dislike is I really hate games that have red, yellow, blue, and green.
Okay.
That's across the board. Any game that those are the main colors of the game, and I think they really could have. It needs bright colors, just because of the culture has a lot of color, and there are other things that fit with this with food that are brightly colored, but I think you could have thrown in purples and oranges and something else more interesting.
I don't know enough about the culture to know, are they brightly colored pans? Are they just silver pans? Does the color match reality or not? I didn't look into that to see if it was just a game choice or if there was any cultural significance.
Yeah, I felt they could have used some other colors besides the primaries, and it still would have felt vibrant and fun and not have been those 4, which are I feel like the default.
All right. Well, let's move on to complexity and comparisons. Melissa, you want to start this one?
So this is, and I'm not sure if it's the first game in this line or if it's a new line that they're sort of creating, but it's labeled as family and friends. So the idea is that this is less complex than the Feld City collection and some of the other games that Queen is known for. I would personally probably put it on complexity level maybe of Alhambra or Copenhagen. So something that's approachable. It's not like Hannah was saying that there's like this level of strategy and then you can take it higher. So I feel like it's approachable and does fit that family and friends weight level.
One of the games I would compare it to are like number 9 in the sense that you're stacking. I liked that in the game stacking. I was trying to think of another stacking tile laying game in my mind, but things like that. Number 9 is a way easier game. It's much more streamlined. But if you could just picture that, like, I need to make sure I have foundation underneath it and stuff like that. You have to think about those kinds of things as you're building it up.
Miyabi is one that.
There you go, Miyabi.
That is you're putting down a foundation to then stack other things on top of it. That one has a little more planning involved of what type of things you put down first. This one, you can put whatever color on top of any other color, so it's really just fitting the Tetris-like shapes together and finishing. You don't have to finish a level before you move on to the next level, so that is nice.
I would say,
and I tried the strategy of I was completing levels, and then halfway through I was like, wonder what would happen if I just build up a corner really high and
It doesn't work because I tried it.
It can, but then everybody else wants to use their negatives or zeros to influence, because you're the only one that's going to score.
And the measure really is going to score is like if it's just one corner, it's just like 1 point.
Yeah, it's not going to score very
as much. It's not score as many points. It was a cool idea, but you wanted to maybe you want to score like, because we did like a 3x3 grid. Maybe you want to do like a 6x6 and just try to see how high you can go like that way.
Playing a different cart, that strategy may work.
I would say complexity-wise, I think I am agreed with like other comparisons. I think complexities to me is like it's not medium level, but just a little bit on the lighter side of medium.
I would definitely call it medium light.
Okay, medium light. There you go. Melissa, would you agree?
I would say that, like the high end of light or the low end of medium.
I would say if you have family or friends who aren't heavy into the industry and playing new stuff all the time, if they've got Ticket to Ride down really well, this may be the next step for them.
Yeah, it's definitely a next step. It's a next step up than Carcassonne or Ticket to Ride, because it's not just like, oh, I'm just playing cards or I'm playing a tile. Like, you really do have to think a little bit, even if it's not like even if you're not gonna do well, you still have to think. Okay, I need to make sure I can get this tile because only certain tiles are gonna fit in my spot. And stuff like that,
Yeah,
so.
and there are a few expansion mini modules in the game as well. We haven't played with them yet, but they add a little bit more to the game.
All right, final thoughts. Hannah, you haven't started one. Do you want to start this
Sure.
session with your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is it's a great tile laying game. In the genre of tile laying games that I highly enjoy, I'd stick it maybe in the middle of things that I really, really like. Just the fact that it all is organized, I'm gonna pick that every time. That just definitely impresses me a lot. But it was a fun tile laying game, and I liked that there was more than just picking a tile and placing it.
Yeah, I know player interaction is something that some people love, some people hate, and this one has some interaction, especially in that second phase where you're adjusting the market prices, positive, negative.
Yep.
So for players who want to be able to feel like they're playing with other people, there is that aspect in this game. I do like that in the first phase where you're moving around the board, you're not blocking spaces from other people, so you can share spaces. So
You still take things that people want.
right. And Sarah mentioned about the tickets, so you can go farther, but then someone else might get the tickets, which are going to be worth points.
Yep.
So I liked the amount of interaction in the game. I enjoyed it. I also really like tile laying games.
Yeah, I think this is a good game. I don't know if it's like an amazing game, but it's a good, solid game. I would say it only plays 2 to 4. I like it to play another player. Like, I think there'd be a way to get a 5th player.
It wouldn't be a lot of downtime.
There's not a lot of downtime in the game, so I'm thinking like 2 to 5. Like, we have a lot of, in our game group, we have sometimes we're like, oh, we just want a 5-player game. It's like, I think this could handle it. That's my final thoughts.
One additional thing, the fact that it plays in about 30 to 40 minutes is really nice because it's pretty quick.
Yeah, I enjoy that I enjoy tile laying games where it's not the exact same thing every time. So the fact that you can change your player board to a different shape means that I'm going to probably have a slightly different strategy in filling my cart and what shapes I'm going to select to stick in there, because of the size differences and how those pieces are going to fit together. So I do like that even just straight out of the box, it's going to be a different experience in just how you set it up differently.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for watching our video, our viewpoints of Dabba Walla. Let us know in the comments if you love tile laying games and which ones you like. Here's our viewpoints of Dabba Walla, Mumbai.
I can't wait for the real.
Make sure that it is.
Mumbai Food Express. Here's our viewpoints of...
These are going in the outtakes.
Got it, I got it.